That's enough. Pipe down. I love that band. Actually, that's a local punk band from my hometown called the X Smashcasters. Definitely check them out. Some cats can ball. So, what up, everybody? Oh, it is way too hot. Way too humid, I should say, here. It's going to be. It's gonna be consecutive days, 110 degrees out. But that is not why we were here in the first place. It is because there was, yes, violence. We had some UFC on today, an early card, which smart for the UFC to have two guys like Rob and RDR headline a card during the day. You give a main event to a guy who's climbing the ranks like RDR, and you give another main event to Rob, but not a clever UFC, right? Not putting Rob and RDR in there together on a pay-per-view at night. I think Whittaker could draw the water with that. I don't think RDR can yet, but man, that card delivered. Um, People saying it was trash. Come on. I mean, there were some bad fights. I thought it was the fight before. I'm trying to remember now. The fight before, I think Shara, which I mean, come on, that was not a good fight. The Peter Yan fight didn't deliver for you, guys. I don't know what else you're looking for with these. I mean, especially a day card. I didn't see a lot of good ratings in the chat when Moss was asking everybody on the MMA holes, which I've definitely shouted them out before, but I got to do it again. Shout out to the MMA holes. I think that's, if you're a UFC fan, if you're a UFC fan and you were not going over there, I was trying to get too much out at once, but check those guys out because I've been doing it for 9 years, live streams, talking about the fights as the fights happen. Your UFC commentary, if you want an alternative to, like, say, Michael Bisping, DC, and Joe Rogan, I think they're very, very dedicated to it and a great page to listen to when you have the fights on in the background. You just got to sync it up together. But a lot of you were there before you came here. And if you're trickling into the chat, definitely appreciate that. Thank you. But the card was, I think it was, for a daytime card, pretty good. A lot of you were not giving good ratings on the chat there, but I had it, I'd say 8 of 10 for that, for the main event especially. I mean, the shot that he hit RDR with in, I think it was the end of the, was it the end of the second round when he got him, and RDR somehow escaped that exchange because it was about to be finished. Whittaker was about to put Rainier away, and then he does a Houdini, gets that takedown. I mean, fantastic awareness from RDR in that moment to come back and really just, I mean, he fought a smart fight. He was a little bit predictable at the end there, only going for the single leg. You even heard Bisping say that in the commentary. But he went to the body. The end of the fight, it was smart. Both guys were tired, and I think It was 2-2 going into that final round. I think at least if you didn't have it scored as 2-2, I understand, but I think you have to say if he gets hit with a shot like that and he's able to recover, RDR did. I mean, and there was no way you didn't give Rob at least the first round, but there's an argument that could be made. I think that it was, I mean, me. No, I think it was 2-2. I think that was honestly the way that I had it. I definitely had Rob winning the first round, and he came out of the gate just as strong as he had to, but it was a good win for RDR. It wasn't pretty, and you could tell that there were some nerves there. I mean, RDR has never been in a main event like that before. Whittaker, on the other hand, belt holder, fought Izzy twice, UFC champion, fought Yoel Romero, fought damn Hamzat, who's fighting for the title next. I mean, Whittaker looked like I've been in here. I think that was why he was upset, because he thought I did enough to win this, and he doesn't get the nod, especially after just, I mean, he kept cracking him with certain shots, but RDR is a lanky, tough bastard, and that made the difference. This is my instant reaction. I mean, I need to go back and watch, but I think that was a good decision split for RDR. Peter Yan, I mean, he executed his game plan so well, having him up against the cage like that. Strong legs to just press Maniac up there, kind of forcing him almost to, like, after a while was panicking and was grabbing the fence a couple times, which there were some fighters tonight who did that. More than one. One that was so blatant was Saeed and Bryce. I mean, Bryce had him grabbing the cage, 3 times, and they didn't take a point away. That was on the ref at that point, because Jesus Christ, what else do you need? But thank you all for coming on over and checking out the stream. This is a very last minute stream. I actually am back to my regular programming next week. I'm doing a show that is wrap up for NBA Summer League with a very special guest connected to the NBA. Played with some stars in college, Mamadi Diakite, and played under Coach Tony Bennett at UVA. You got to check it out to see who that guest is, or look for the promo post, which will be put onto my page next week, revealing who that is. A lot of cool stuff coming up, getting ready for football, obviously, to be started, which looks like I'm going to be seeing my first NFL game in 20 years? It's so crazy, because one of the last games I ever saw in the NFL, it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now I live 25 minutes from the stadium with traffic a day, and 25 minutes. Yeah. Actually, I found a back way to get to the stadium that is not that bad, and I'm very proud of myself because I found it by accident. But yeah, and they're playing so I'm seeing the Jags and the Steelers. That's the first preseason game it looks like I'm going to that game, because tickets are pretty cheap, and I also was just like, Rodgers is going to retire soon. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was damn near retired 2-3 years ago, and somehow comes back to go to the Jets. I mean, at least with Brett Favre, when he went to the Jets, they had some pieces in place enough to go to the AFC Championship game the next year. And what does Favre do? He goes to the NFC Championship game with the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers was on a god-awful team led by, what is it, Robert Saleh? Is that how you say his name? But I'm getting into the NFL now. This is UFC talk, so yeah, I thought the decision was fair for the main event. Peter Yan, though, yes, absolutely should be next for the title. I don't see anybody beating. And let me know what you think in the chat. Comment, send me a message in a bottle. Whatever your feelings are for the Sandhagen fight and Sandhagen and Merab, I think that it should go to Peter Yan next, but I don't see anybody beating Merab for a while now. I mean, now that Bryce got in there and won today, I mean, you see some people who know that there are levels to this. Like Bryce goes and wins his fight tonight, but he says, I like Merab. I don't have a problem fighting him, but I know how much of a maniac he is in there, and I don't think anybody's going to be taking the belt from Merab. That's one division that's safe for the rest of the year, is absolutely 135. However, 45, the guy who just beat Bryce, I don't know. People are sleeping on John Silva, and I think that he could fight for the belt before the end of the year. I see that as a possibility, and I could see him holding the belt next year. I mean, Volk, I think Volk fought a smart fight against Lopez, but how much longer does he have in his career? I mean, wars like the ones with Islam and Ilya, I mean, they take it out of you, not just physically, but I mean, that's mentally just. And what else does he have left to accomplish? I mean, there are people that argue that Volk won that first fight against Islam. I think that there's just, you get to a point where it's like, what is left? And honestly, I think that's what happened to a guy like Conor McGregor, where he accomplished all his goals, and it was a bad idea to fight the Khabib fight because he just wasn't there anymore. I mean, that would have been, I think he loves fighting so much that it would have been, if he wouldn't have fought that, I don't know that Conor would have been okay with having to live the rest of his life saying, oh, well, you never fought him when you were in your prime and you ran from that fight. And he's just, he's going to use the, oh, he can't make weight excuse forever. That's why Conor stepped in there and took that fight, but he approached it so badly. I mean, just piss drunk. You get in there and you have to fight a guy like that at 155. It's scary. And that's what Volk was doing. He was fighting a guy like Khabib when he had a great training camp the first time and close fight. But I mean, then Volk, he different kind of mistake than Conor, but he goes in there and he takes a short notice fight against Islam and he loses. That takes it out of you. And I don't think that Volk has a lot left to prove because he's been a champion. He's contested for the belt at 155. Ilya, however, we have to see what happens with Islam and Jack Della first, but I don't know how I started talking about 155 and 170. Well, Volk, but yeah, I'm predicting right now my champions for the end of the year for each division. And I'll say for the end of this year, 155. 155, I am going to go with Ilya because I don't know if Islam is going to fight him before the end of the year. I could see early next year on one of the first cards of the year. It's going to be in Vegas, but I think Ilya at 155 and 145 will be. I'll go with Volk. I'll go with Volk for one, but I think he's has guys breathing down his neck that want that belt, and don't be surprised next year if it's John Silva. Um, Already went over 135. It'll be Marab. Going down in weight. We're talking about. I mean, Pantoja. I just don't see anybody touching him either. It's like Marab. I think that there are these guys that are there to stay for a long time. And I think Islam, if he would have stayed at 155, he would be the champion for a long time if he did that. But Ilya is his toughest test, and we just saw that for sure. 170, however, Jack's going to win. You have my prediction right now. I will tell you, look you straight in the camera eye and tell you it is Islam's time to finally lose. Tried to not blink and it didn't work. But Jack can adapt, and people do not give him enough credit for that. I mean, the guy didn't show any nerves in the biggest fight of his life against Bilal, and Bilal trains with these guys, so if he's training with Islam, there's not a whole lot I think that Jack is going to, maybe the strength will surprise him of Islam, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, because I remember Dustin when he fought, when he lost to Nurmagomedov, which I call that Dustin and Islam. I call that Dustin and Khabib too. But Dustin said that Khabib was not as strong as he thought he was. And so that was what my thoughts was that if Bilal threw everything at him that he could to make it an entertaining fight, but it couldn't get it done against Jack Della, I don't see what Islam is going to bring to 170 that's going to dethrone him. I just don't. And yeah, you got to see these things play out sometimes. I mean, like with, when we saw, there's certain fights that you were just like, we got to see what goes down when they fight each other. It'll tell the tale. Kind of like with Vulcan, Ilya. I know there were a lot of people that were doubting Ilya going into that fight. They were like, well, he was able to weather the storm against Josh Emmett, and credit to his toughness, but it was the same going into I picked Charles to win against Ilya at 155, which was a massive L for me, but yeah, I think Jack's going to weather the storm, and I will say this, I see it going a lot like Volk and Islam, and I think that we will see a ground war, which I cannot wait to watch. But the striking, yeah, I think that Jack is going to be superior. The movements are going to be too awkward. He's going to get in there and just know how to handle the pressure of the moment too. I mean, Islam, that's one thing that I think they're neck and neck with, but Jack now has delivered in a title fight. There's not going to be anything new that he's being thrown. So I expect him to hold the belt at the end of the year. 185. I'm debating if I should do a live stream for the Hamzat and DDP fight, because that's one that's going to be massive. I know that my buddy Moss will be live for that one, so I'm trying to figure out what angle I'm going to play for that, if I'm going to do a live stream the day of previewing it with some guests, or actually go live during the fight. But stay tuned. I can't wait for UFC Chicago, and that one, I've been over this in my head 1,000 times, but I have to go DDP, just because he's fought, again, the experience, like Robert Whittaker tonight. He had the experience going into that fight, but I don't know about Hamzat. I just, he fights like what, every 2 years it feels like. And the last guy that he fought was Robert Whittaker, who, I mean, has some gas left in the tank, but I mean, he finished him like that. Can Hamza go in there and do that same thing on the ground to DDP? I don't think so. And striking, if DDP is able to weather the storm, because his striking has only improved, and make Hamzat tired, he could start teeing off on him. And I by no means think that DDP, pump the brakes on me calling him an elite striker, but I think that he's good enough to handle Hamzat on the ground early on. Then he's going to take over. I mean, we saw it with Gilbert Burns, with the Kamaru Usman fight. If it would have gone longer, I think Usman probably would have won that fight. And now you see that because he was able to beat Buckley, he had a smart game plan, and Usman would have known what to do because he has championship rounds. So I think DDP will win a decision, but Hamzat's the best contender out there. I don't know what the hell's going on with Teep Strickland with that suspension. It's like, Sean, you have nothing better to do but crash regional circuits or whatever that event was that he. When you get Sean there, he's going to talk. So, I mean, that guy, I don't know what they thought was going to happen, but he charges the cage with Chris Curtis. It was like, even for him, not a good look, man. Come on, Sean. I agree with the commentary when that was happening, which, how are you supposed to react live to? Like, I'll never forget John Anik when the whole thing with McGregor and Nurmagomedov after that fight ended, when he was like, all hell is broken loose. It's like, I didn't really need you to give me the play-by-play for that, but then again, what are you supposed to do in that moment? So, yeah, my pick is DDP for that one. I do think it will go to I don't see that one being a finish for either one, because I think that he's gonna. I don't want DDP to go in there cocky. I want him to win. I'll say that. But and I'm not on ESPN or Fox Sports, so I don't have to hold back the bias. But I do want DDP to win. However, I don't think he should go in there and underestimate somebody like Hamza because, you look at how he got that grip on Rob, and Rob kind of panic tapped in that moment, and the picture of his mouth after that happened. I mean, does he have some freak strength we don't know about? How motivated is he? Time will tell, but we do know that he gets tired, and that could be the key difference between the two. And if it goes to a decision, let's say DDP wins, I think there's going to be a rematch. I think if it's dominant for one guy, even then I could see there being a rematch, but if there's a close decision, absolutely an immediate rematch. I don't know what you say, but that's my opinion at least, because I just, nobody seems to be at 85. I mean, Charles looked damn good tonight, but do you think that he was good enough to get in there and have a battle on the ground with somebody like Hamzat? Do you think his striking is superior to everyone else? That's a hell of a question. That division is just as wide open to me as it is 170 and 145 right now. But yeah, I'm picking DDP in that one. I think that'll be a close decision. So when is that card? That somebody let me know in the chat. Is that in September, or is that late August? I don't know, because we have a few kind of not bad cards, but just there's not a lot of, they kind of lack star power, I feel like, when I was looking at them. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be, that's going to be one of the better cards this year is the Chicago card, I think. I'm looking it up right now because I want to know the date of this event. Yeah, it's fight night. That's right, Hernandez, and the leads is after the one next week, which is Amir and Tatsuro. 319 is, I don't know why I thought that was early September, but that is August 16th. And that's right, Prates is fighting Jeff Neal, and then the co-main is Lerone and Aaron Pico. That's going to be interesting, man. Oh, yeah, and that's, I knew there was another big one on there. Jared Cannonier and Michael Pate. Oh, MVP. That's going to be a hell of a card, man. MVP and Cannonier. I got to go Cannonier. Cannonier's been on fire lately, man. That guy, it's just so crazy to think of how dominant Izzy was at one point, because he handled Cannonier and did it in style, and that's how fast the game goes. I mean, now we're looking at Izzy like, what is next for him? Does he retire? Does he go to, does he jump up and weight again? Which, that's the only division we have left to discuss now, I believe. No, we have two more, which, yes, so this week, that's right, we had double fight news. There is the announcement for talked about Marab and Sandhagen, but Tom and Cyril are fighting, which, my God, a White House card. I can't even wrap my brain around that happening. All I know is I'm very happy that I don't live near DC anymore. I'm back. Ugh. I was just talking about the traffic that will be backed up to Florida, where I am at now, from the UFC White House card. But look, Tom all day against Cyril. That's all I know right now. I don't know if Jones is coming back. I don't know if people are even, by that point, are they going to want to see him? But John did nothing to help his legacy with that whole saga with Tom and the video that came out. I mean, the traffic stop, we'll call it. John Jones is the most frustrating fighter in UFC history, bar none. And with McGregor, say what you want about him, but John Jones, I mean, John needed that Tom fight, and to not take it, man, is just because George Masvidal, I don't, he's not my favorite fighter. I don't know him personally, but I have I definitely have heard some good things and some bad things about George. But one thing is opinion on fighting. That is something you need to listen to. And he's like, why are we getting this fight with Tom and Cyril? I mean, it's just because there's no one else to fight Tom, but without John fighting him, that one's going to eat away at John more than it is Tom, because John, for the rest of his life, I believe deep down, is thinking, why did I not take that fight when I had the chance, man? Why did I not get in there and go at this guy who was, they always talked about how I was able to not overcome this and come back, and he did, and then again and again and again. But the guy just, he didn't get in there. And is it really going to take you fighting at the White House? Okay, but for now, all I know is Tom's the champion, and he's going to probably put away Cyril on the feet. That's my guess, at least. So, one more set of picks to make for the other announcement this week on that Marab card. Ankalaev and Poatan. I see it going a lot like the first fight. I think Ankalaev is going to get the win. Poatan, I don't know if he's going to. I think he'll be more crisp with the striking this fight. It'll definitely draw some people into that card for sure. Having a guy like and draw people to the UFC more, having a guy like Poatan fight an Ankalaev on the same card as Merab and Sandhagen. That's what you want, but I think it's going to be Ankalaev is going to be better at stuffing the takedowns. He understands the range now of Poatan a little bit better than the first fight. It's going to be interesting to watch this one. I mean, I think I'm honestly more hyped for that fight than I am Merab and Sandhagen, because I just don't think he's no slouch, but I don't think he's going to get it done. And that will do it for my champion picks to close out 2025. But if you have a different opinion, let me know, folks. Thanks for coming on over to a very last minute live stream that I don't know how I pulled off in time, let alone at all, considering all week my fiance's internet has been down. She works at home on her computer and she's been having problems, and same with me in here now, as you can see. But whoever has a perfect live stream, if you have had that before, let me know. I was watching something so cool recently that was, it's really historic if you think about it, but it was this band I think a lot of you like, called Cake. You know, the song, He's Going the Distance, or, You're Never There. Look them up. Fantastic band out of Sacramento. They're like modern day Chicago. Just they incorporate so much into their sound, and one of the bands I have to see live before I die. But they did a live stream in 2002. So wild to think about. I mean, there are those things that are historic on the internet that are, we look back on, like the first big YouTube videos. Numa guy, wherever you are out there, I hope you are resting well, because you certainly earned it with that very well spent 2 minutes of your life. Or there's other things on the internet that have gained attention. I'll let your imaginations run on that. I'm thinking of a certain blonde. A lot of you probably are. Seriously, yeah, I'm not going any further. Let your imagination do the talking on that one. Whatever it does, but oh my goodness. Let's take a turn. So I'm going to get out of here. My brain is fried from the work week, but I'm off tomorrow. That's why I was so happy. There was figures the 1 week that I'm off on a Sunday. They have a daytime card. I could have stayed up. That's good, though. I can get some stuff done and not have to sleep in tomorrow. Yeah, guys, looking forward to coming back next week. There will be a podcast for wrapping up of the NBA Summer League, as well as talk of NFL training camp. And like I said, look out for, there's something in the works for the Hamzat DDP fight. Cannot wait for that card. Stand strong for the next few weeks while we wait for that card to happen. UFC fans, because Lord knows I'm not really going to be watching the next few weeks. Although there is BKFC, of course, to keep you busy, which, yes, you absolutely should tune in for August 2nd. We are that might be what I do. I might do thinking about doing a live for that BKFC card because my buddy Dan Pettit, who I just had on the show, he's going to be fighting in Sturgis, South Dakota. Tune in, gonna absolutely lay the smackdown, and the Podfather will be live for that. Could be live for some UFC, but definitely a cool fight week interview playing for that. I got some other people lined up, guys. I've been doing this show for December will be 3 years, and it's a great time. I mean, as a kid, I always wanted to be one of those. As a kid, I wanted to be in the NFL for a little while there, and then I realized I have no skill. It's like that Adam Sandler line in Big Daddy. I wanted to be a male model, but then I realized I'm not good looking. I don't think I had the skill to play a football. Baseball was more my sport, but I kind of fell out of love with it, honestly, after a while. And at the same time, I didn't completely because I always wanted to be around sports. And that's why I started this, because I originally worked at ESPN Radio up until 2020. Stopped doing that. Got into this at home, doing another set of podcasts before this. One was a show that I did 31 episodes of, did live music, had all sorts of people, actors, singers, activists, all that kind of stuff, authors, these people on. And it was just time to put it to bed when I did. It started out as a hiatus, but I really just, I'm leaving it in the past. And then in December of 2022, I did an interview with a guy named Ben Davis, which he's known as the Bane. Shout out to the Bane. He and I were talking, and we were talking about me starting a podcast, I remember, and it got the wheels in motion. I was like, look how well Bane has done. He's so young. I'm like, I have the experience of working at ESPN Radio, so why don't I just use that at home? And I had gotten better with equipment because I didn't know jack about recording equipment, any of that stuff, until after worked on my old podcast and worked at the radio station. So I know a little bit about the equipment now. Although I love doing these streams because I just do I get to do the kind of vintage looking background for it. But yeah, worked on this podcast for almost 3 years now, and I got some encouragement from some really cool people. My buddy Dylan Rush, personal, friends of mine from years ago, my fiance, family, just they've all been so supportive. And the people who have come in here, whether it's from the MMA whole streams or my comedy or whatever, you guys are why I do this show. I love stand up, but I also love doing this. And there'll be plenty more shows, folks. So please come on back. Thank you for being here tonight. And I hope you enjoyed the fights. I got to go back and watch the. I feel like I got to watch so much of that card back because my stream was messing up when I was watching the main event specifically, but there are a couple fights where I felt like I missed some key moments. The only one that really was clear all the way through was the Peter Yan fight, but hell of a daytime card, guys, and don't be such harsh critics, okay? Just enjoy it. Look at the cards that you have coming up for the next 3 weeks, and please tell me if this card is any worse than those are on paper. Get back to me. Love you, mean it. Guys, taking off. I'll watch my buddy RX's stream tonight. He's going live at 11:15. I will be there unless there's a tsunami that comes through here or something else that wipes out my internet. I can't wait to be there, guys. Daytime stream is over now. Nighttime stream, 11:15. RX MMA, check his page out. I will be there to talk MMA with the panel for that show, which I co-host. Used to be once a month. Now it's a couple times a month. Be good.